Let's go to criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Alex Little. Alex, first, there's one theory that this was leaked to the New York Times to anger the president and prompt him potentially to fire Rosenstein and then spark a crisis. Does that sound like a possible motive for this going public?
It does. It would explain the timing. These are conversations that took place a long time ago. There were 7 people in that room when Rosenstein made that statement. So I think the most likely scenario is that it's being brought about now to motivate the president to do something today. This has been a bad week. Manafort, his former campaign chairman, has decided to cooperate with the special counsel. So there's certainly some movement behind the scenes here, and that seems to be the most likely explanation.
And what would it mean if that did indeed happen?
Well, it would throw the whole thing back up into complete turmoil. It would call into question whether the special counsel is going to be able to stay in his job, that there would be another person in the Department of Justice overseeing the investigation, and so all of this, again, would be thrown into complete chaos.
What would you like to see?
Well, I think that the question here is, what did Rosenstein do that would have sort of justified a firing? It doesn't seem that he did anything. He was taking part in a meeting where 7 other justice officials were. This is not sort of a coup of the president, and he joked about wearing a wire. And then the other statement that was brought out in the press was that he had talked about this issue with the 25th Amendment. This was also discussed at length in Bob Woodward's current book that talks about a lot of cabinet officials in the early administration days were concerned about the president's behavior. So nothing that's been reported here is really different than what we know. The question is what the president now is going to do about it.
Yeah, there are conflicting reports whether or not he was serious. The New York Times says he was serious. Others, and many others, most others, in fact, say that no, that he was not. He was,
Right.
being kind of ironic and sarcastic, and that is his nature to bring that out.
But that would make sense given the context.
Yeah, one would think. But at the same time, the 25th Amendment, I mean, that is a long process. You need the vice president to be on board, the whole cabinet to be on board, when it goes to Congress. So it's not as if, one person says, well, let's evoke the 25th Amendment.
Yeah, he doesn't have the power to do that himself. I think what it suggests and what it tells us is, again, confirmation of what we already know, that there's a great deal of concern at the highest levels of government about this president's behavior. If you look at the anonymous op-ed that was printed in the Washington Post now, I guess it's only been 10 days or 2 weeks ago. It feels like a lifetime. There's a top official who says, look, we don't think what he's doing all the time is correct, and we're trying to tamp down his worst behavior. And so, the fact that it's discussed is both incredible on one level, but at the same time pretty mundane and consistent with what we've seen from day to day in this administration.
So as a prosecutor, where does this go? I mean, if anywhere,
sure,
what do you think will happen?
There's so much behind-the-scenes movement trying to position the president to prepare for what's coming in the Mueller investigation. I think everybody on his defense team knows that there's going to at least be a report that's going to point some really serious accusations to the president, if not more serious referrals to Congress for impeachment. So they're trying to prepare themselves now for that. Dirtying up everybody who can say something bad about the president is certainly part of their strategy. They've done that with the former FBI director. They're doing that with the special counsel, and obviously they're doing that here with the Deputy Attorney General. So this is all really setting the stage for the battle that's to come when those report of the special counsel comes out.
And if indeed that does happen, I mean, what type of reaction do you expect from the president? And as a legal matter, what does he do?
Well, what's fascinating is investigations change every day. 2 weeks ago, Paul Manafort wasn't cooperating with the special counsel, so the president was in one position. Now he is, and so President Trump knows a lot more than any of us what information Paul Manafort has that could hurt him, how it comes out, and how to prepare for it. So this is a completely fluid situation, and I think you're going to have to take it day by day.
So finally, what's your prediction on Rosenstein? Or, I mean, can you make it at all? Does he stay?
Yeah.
Does he go?
Anybody who's making predictions here is crazy, but I think he probably stays. This doesn't seem to be the sort of accusation that would shoot him down, but the president could use it if he wants to remove him, but he would have done it probably on a Friday night massacre, and I don't see that happening. All
right, well, again, Mr. Rosenstein denies it. There are conflicting reports about it. He is still,
Absolutely,
as of this hour, in his job. Alex Little, always good to see you, Alex. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. Well, Fox News Sunday anchor.